The following program has been rated GE by the Kenya Film Classification Board. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
Hello viewer, welcome to GBS TV. This is a station that you love. We are here with a beautiful lady here to take us through a very important topic. This topic, I don't want to miss to have someone watch and listen through to the end. This is the reason we know about mental illness, we know about mental wellness as well. But a lot of people are mentally ill, especially statistics in our country have it that 1 out of 4 people are mentally ill. I don't know whether you agree with this, but this is the scenario as per the statistics. I wish that you listen through and get it from the psychologist we have today. Please introduce yourself.
Good morning, viewers. My name is Sharon Muhindi. I am a counselor psychologist and I deal with all sorts of issues in all ages. Thank you.
Welcome, Sharon.
Thank you.
Good to have you at GBS TV. This is Chungu Jamii, and I hope that you will enjoy being here. So, talking about mental illness, please tell us what this is.
Mental illness is something that affects us mentally, psychologically. It also affects how we do things day-to-day life. Yes.
It affects how we do things.
Yes.
So if I wake up and I'm not doing things the normal way, are you supposed to begin suspecting that something is wrong with me?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I may just have changed my schedule and say, this is a September, no workouts. If I was doing gym, then I stop. This is a September, no school.
Yes.
And I just stop.
Yeah.
Anything wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that, but with mental illness, it's something that prolongs for a long period of time. For example, if you are used to doing something, you find yourself, you don't have the mood to do it, you just find you're tired, there's a lot of restlessness, such things. Yes.
Does it affect the people also next to you? Are you able to discover by yourself that I am mentally ill?
Yes.
You are able to?
Yes.
By yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
It also affects the people around you. Some people are able to notice there's something wrong with me immediately. Others are not able to notice, but the people around you can feel it.
They can?
Yes.
So when should I take myself to hospital, or when should I take someone next to me to the hospital suspecting that they could be going through a mental illness? What should trigger me?
Something that should trigger you, first of all, we need to know the difference between stress and depression.
Yes, yes.
Because most of the times people think that because now you're stressed, you're depressed.
Okay.
But stress is something that goes on for a short period of time, and it's mental pressure actually.
Short period of time is like how long? Because there are people I've had, like you say, whenever they are stressed, they also do strange things. There are certain people who eat too much when they're stressed, and there are others who won't even get to the dining table because they're stressed. Others will sleep all their time and not do anything constructive. So how long is short?
Short can be 1 week, 2 weeks.
Okay.
That is a short period.
So that is stress, and then you'll go over it.
Yes.
How about depression?
But depression is something that prolongs for like 6 months,
Okay.
4 months. Yes. Now
Doing the same anomalies that you now get into.
Yes,
For
exactly.
6 months.
Yes.
Around like that period.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how would you tell the difference? How would you tell that? What would make you know that this person is now mentally ill when they get into depression?
Some of the symptoms that we see in depression are like there's loss of appetite, there's withdrawal, there's thoughts of you feel like you're unworthy, thoughts of suicidal thoughts. Yes.
Suicidal.
Yes.
And then withdrawal, you mean by isolation.
Isolation.
So you're no longer with the people. But sometimes this is just you, or if you have been a totally different person, and then now all of a sudden you're isolated and you don't want to mix up with people, you just want to do your own stuff by yourself. Did you say that it is possible for one to realize by themselves that they're mentally ill, or somebody has to point it out?
Some people are able to realize, especially if you have gone through, you have read about mental awareness, then you're able to pinpoint. If you notice there's a certain change in your lifestyle, then you're able to pinpoint something. You start noticing that you're not your normal self.
I wonder who takes themselves to hospital and say, doctor, check me out. I think I am mentally ill. Because what I know about mental illness, I could be wrong, is that they do crazy things. And this is because they're not their normal self. So they have lost something in them that pushes them to behave as they do without their knowledge. How then are they, is it possible for them to realize that, you know what, I am not myself? Yeah.
At times, it's not necessarily you go to the hospital and tell the doctor, doctor, I have depression.
Yes.
But others actually, you start going through counseling. So when you go through counseling, when you go to a psychologist or a therapist, they're able to notice some certain things that are not normal. You're able to go through a test. You're able to do various tests that will identify some abnormalities. That's when now you are referred to a psychiatrist.
Is mental illness a serious thing in this country?
Mental illness is serious, and I believe that people are not really talking about it, and there's a lot of stereotyping behind it.
How serious is it?
It's very serious because on a scale of probably 6 out of 10, we see people dying out of depression. I think it was just last week that a man from Mombasa actually committed suicide due to depression. So people are not vocal about it.
Do you tie it to mental illness, depression?
Yes, I do.
Oh, really?
Yes.
When someone is depressed, they're actually mentally ill?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
What is it that makes people depressed?
There are so many things in life that make people depressed.
Like if you lose a loved one, you could go into depression.
Yes.
At that time, you were termed mentally ill. Really? You know, the myth that a lot of people have about mental illness is that it is some witchcraft kind of thing. That I have heard of maybe very rich families that in their families they had a mentally ill person. And what people would say is that it is witchcraft. As they went seeking for wealth, this thing happened along the way. Is it a normal thing or it is actually witchcraft?
Mental illness is not witchcraft.
It's not witchcraft.
It's not witchcraft.
It's just a disease like any other.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
But mostly you've got to be depressed to get into mental illness?
Not really depressed, but you know that what causes depression is high stress levels.
Okay.
Yes. So if you're stressed, totally stressed, it could lead to depression, it could lead to bipolar, it could lead to schizophrenia. There are various types of mental illness. It's not only depression.
Not just, okay.
Yes.
What else would lead to mental illness?
The pressures of life. It could be job related, relationships, finances. Also at times it's genetics.
Yeah, when it's also genetic.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, when you come from a line which, from your family, many people have been affected mentally, there's a high chance it could also affect you.
It's genetical.
Yes, it's genetical.
I am thinking deeply about getting into mental illness as a result of pressures of life. And as you mentioned, relationships, and you mentioned finances, and job related, you know, and these just mindset things to deal with other than things that should lead you actually into mental illness. Isn't it just that for a certain time, it's that your mindset is not so well tuned and groomed to handle such things when they come to you? Isn't that the case?
What we are forgetting, Betty, is that people handle stress differently. How you'd handle stress is not how I'd handle stress.
Okay.
Some people are not, for lack of a better word, but high self-esteem. Others have very low self-esteem. So how you perceive things is totally different. And you may end up not talking about it and it affects you. mentally. Yes.
So, Sharon, mental illness, if I get you right, you don't have to go picking stones and bags and garbage on the road to be termed as mentally ill.
Yes.
You don't have to do
You
that.
don't have to
because
do
with the
that.
statistics that you were mentioning, 6 out of 10, I mean, that is too high. I don't see a lot of people like that walking with ragged clothes and carrying garbage and, stuff like that on our streets on a daily basis. But with those statistics, is it that they are the same people like that hidden in their homes, or they are clean, neatly dressed, feeding, doing their things, yet mentally ill? Is that the scenario?
It depends. There are others who, like, I remember there's a time I visited a home in Dagoretti, and one child had schizophrenia.
Okay.
And the child was caged because they believed that it is witchcraft. And that is not the case.
So it is not witchcraft?
It is not witchcraft.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have to be out there walking on the streets in tattered clothes to be termed as mentally ill?
No, you don't have to.
You don't have to.
Yes.
You could be as neatly dressed as you are, yet mentally ill.
Yes.
Talk about that.
We see so many people who have bipolar, and you can never know.
What is that?
Why? Bipolar is a mood disorder.
Moods.
Yes.
Okay.
At times you find there are two extremes. You're either very sad or very happy.
Okay.
Yes. There's no, a balance between it. Yeah. But what most people do is they control it using drugs, because for them they have realized that I have an illness and they have gone and they have been given medication. Yes.
Are people really aware about what you're talking about, Sharon, today? Because if your terminology of mental health is not just being out there in the street doing the things that everybody else knows, and not just the cause of witchcraft like everybody else perhaps knows, but you could be as neatly dressed in the house, knowing very well what time to take your medication and how to take care of yourself. If this is what is happening and this is mental illness, how many people are aware of this in this country?
I don't think many people are aware of it, because given our culture, our African culture, we are not allowed to express our emotions. You're not allowed to be vulnerable, because if you do, you're termed as being weak. If you do, it's considered as witchcraft.
I know.
Yes.
And also it's considered as a misfortune.
Yes.
Something, this family is, it's a no-go zone. It's not a place to marry from.
Yes.
Like sometimes when a girl is taken home, your mom calls you back in the kitchen and they're like, have you gone to that home? How is the guy? Is the mother-in-law there? What about the brothers and sisters? Such kinds of things that mothers really want to find out. So everyone is looking back into your background to just check if there are such kinds of anomalies and misfortunes that are in your home.
Yes.
People actually call them bad omens, because if you say they are genetical, chances are you could get a baby who has mental illness. How bad is this?
It's really bad, because now it brings the stigmatization around it. And when it brings the stigmatization, people are not able to come out and speak freely and say, you know what, this is what I am suffering from and I need help. So you find people are dying, you find people are committing suicide because they cannot be able to come out in the open.
Probably it's because of lack of awareness.
Yes.
Because if you know the causes, if you know the symptoms, and you see your sister or whoever around you suffering from the same, then you will take the right precautions. Yeah.
Yes.
So are people really aware?
People are not really aware, and that's why now we are very vocal about it.
And as you say, it's also an African taboo.
And it's an African taboo. But now we are bringing an awareness and telling people it's okay. Come out, because we need help. We cannot continue suffering in these things. Some of these taboos we have to
Why do you
with them.
think people are putting this under the carpet?
Stigmatization, that is one. There's a lot of stigma around it. Two, our African culture. Yes, the taboos around it.
But those, the elite, they actually know that this is a problem and it probably has a solution, does it?
Yes, it does have a solution.
It does.
Yes.
Which is permanent or just sustainability?
Some are permanent, some are sustainable. Yes. It just depends to what degree the illness has gone to. Yeah. But there are others that you can actually control by just taking medicine and actually also watching your diet and avoiding some things that, you know, brings stress to you. Yeah.
Being genetical, mental illness, does it affect children?
Yes, it does.
At what age does it manifest if it's as a result of genetics?
It can manifest as early as possible. There's no really a defined age at where it can manifest, but you will start noticing that, for example, there are some milestones a child needs to cross. If a child again is too late, that is a worry. These are things now that you need to
Like
do
walking,
medical,
like delayed speech.
Exactly. Yeah, there are so many things around it. So these are things you need to go and seek medical attention. Because, for example, a child who is 2 years is supposed to be walking and at least uttering some words. But if it gets to 5 years, 6 years, and there's delayed speech, then that is now something you need to go back.
That's not mental illness. You need to have it checked.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When people suffer this mental illness, how are some of the ways they behave, other than the symptoms you earlier mentioned, that would make the people around them not only to be aware, but take safety precautions? Can they be violent, for example?
Yes, they can be violent. Yes, they can be agitated. They just start acting in different ways from how they act. Yes, they are always defensive. Yes.
Is indeed the reason why you need to lock them out?
You can't really lock them out because if you lock them out, you're not helping.
You can lock them out.
You can't lock them out.
So how do you take safety for yourself? Because if you have a sibling, for example, who is mentally ill, and you also have young children in the house, that means you can't step out and leave him or her with the children. What do you do? In that case, you're going to lock them.
You need to now seek medical attention immediately. Yes.
How effective is that? How effective is that? That once, because with the statistics that you have mentioned, I mean, they would have gone down, you know? Yeah, they would have gone down.
For somebody to start becoming violent, it means that this is something that has progressed on for a very long time. But if you seek medical attention, they actually treat it immediately. Because now it is something that is severe. Yes. Yeah.
So does this person need to, I don't know, because I'm looking at the reason why people actually lock them out and hide them, other than just the stigma. Because what you would do to keep these people indoors, if there was no treatment and solution at all, you know. But there is a solution. I probably guess maybe there's no much awareness that is being done around this thing. Which government body is concerned, and where is help for such kind of conditions?
There are so many NGOs nowadays that are really vocal about it. Even the World Health Organization is very vocal about it. So we can say that we are in a better place than before. Yes, because nowadays actually people are even coming out. We see many people coming out and saying, I have bipolar. In the olden days, you would not see that. In fact, it was very rare to hear that somebody has bipolar. But it's not like there were not people who had bipolar. They were there. But they could not come out and say, this thing is real. Yes.
I'm concerned about the causes, because if all these causes are issues of life,
Yes.
you cannot run away from problems in this world. So somehow problems are going to knock your door one day. If they do, must they lead you to mental illness?
That is why it's advised to do some things. For example, if you feel something, for example, if it's work, you feel it's just too much and you can't handle it, you have burnout, you can take leave. Just go take time and reflect. There's meditation. There's yoga.
Meditation is not an African thing as well. It's not an African thing,
Yeah.
where you wake up and for 15 minutes you're meditating.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
It's not an African thing. And if it has crept into Africa, then it's not... a lot of people don't know about it. You know, it's just 1 to 3 people out of 10 or 20 who probably know about meditation and its importance. And even the times that you meditate, you are probably meditating on the negative, and the wrong things are the only ones that come into your mind. You know? Yeah.
Yes.
And likewise to yoga. These are things that you also need maybe money to be able to learn and do the stretches, you know. Yeah, so...
I don't think you really need money, because now with technology, and
Yes.
we have the technology everywhere, you just go online and you
And
see
get
some
the
of those
stretches.
courses that people do, and you do, because you find when you engage in exercise, there's a chemical that is released in the brain which
Yes.
helps you to calm down and to be happy. Yes.
Yes.
So these things are most of the times also people meditate, but they do not actually know they meditate, because at times you just find you're by yourself and you just want to reflect and just look back. That is meditation. Yes.
So what other thing are they supposed to do? Because like I said, these things are inevitable.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
financial difficulties, relationship issues. There are things you can never say, oh, for me, my life is a green garden. I do not have such kinds of issues in my life, you know. Come and see where I live. I mean, I don't know of anyone who can stand on that high platform and make such kinds of announcement.
Yes.
If they are, I'm yet to meet them. Having said that, these things, like I've told you, are inevitable. When they knock on your door, you know, what are you supposed to do? Because if you have said they eventually lead to mental illness, depending on how they're handled, what are you supposed to do?
You can also go seek for counseling. Therapy also helps introducing some of these things, and you get the help that is needed. Engaging in things that you like. Yes. Reading also helps. Just doing the things that you love for a moment, and trying to put these other things that are causing stress, just put them aside.
And that's for the people who know.
Yes.
That's for the people who know.
Yes.
That's for the people who don't end up in mental illness. But with the statistics and the rates, it's seemingly that a lot of people don't know. That's why we have the 6 out of 10. If they knew, they would not have ended up there. Would not have ended up also with those figures, you know. So it means people are not trained. They do not have the right mindset to handle such kinds of things when they come to them. Yes, what is happening? Because hardly do people just wake up, even though they have problems, and take themselves to a psychologist, you know. Mostly, it is people who push you to them. Someone picks you up and say, hey, Sharon, let's go see your friend, you know, and you end up at a psychologist's room, you know. No one wants to go. In fact, I've heard of people who really curse when they're told they're going to see a psychologist. The first judgment is like, excuse me, do I look mad to you? Yeah, nobody wants to be And like we want to be likened to a madman because depression and problems, when you hear of a psychologist, everybody thinks they have lost their mind. They're not doing something right. That's why they're being taken to a psychologist. Yes. How about that? Is it the truth?
It is. It is actually, and it's sad because it's the truth. But I always say that we need to change our mindset, because once we shift the mindset, you find that things will start changing. The notion of when you go to a therapist, there's something wrong with you or you're mad, that is not true. And that's why you find people are not coming out because of this stereotyping that if you're going to a therapist, you're mentally not okay. You have a problem. Well, at times you just want to offload the pressures of life. Yes.
Yeah, when someone just hears, I'm going to see a psychologist, they start asking the main gazes, the many gazes of what could be wrong with you. Is your wife a trouble? Is your husband the trouble? Is it your children? I mean, are you mad? Is someone going mad? Are you depressed? Those are the only things somebody thinks about when you mention a psychologist to them. And so nobody likes to be taken. And I wonder who takes themselves anyway. Let's take a short break. Viewer, we are taking a very short break. We're talking about mental illness. And it's surprising that 6 out of 10 people in our country are suffering from mental illness. I wonder if you are aware of the signs and symptoms. Check out for the people next to you. They could just be mentally ill. Our SMS line is 21144. We are coming back shortly.
The youth, we need to change the way we approach issues. The world out here is very harsh.
I was just waiting for things to happen in life, like finish school, then just go to career life.
Some people are depressed. You're not depressed because you have a problem. Some people are depressed because they're frustrated.
So we young people, in as much as we claim that we are denied opportunities of leadership, I think we also have to assert ourselves as leaders.
And the one challenge that I keep telling the young people, it is the mindset.
Mind education is so important in many different ways.
When you go to the world, they don't ask you, are you Kikuyu or are you Luya? Hey, mimi ni Luya bwana, unajua huko Kakamega tunakulanga kuku. Now,
Hello, viewer. Welcome to
Chungu, Jamii.
My name is Tigist Hailu.
Hello, I'm Dr. Ruben West
I'm Dr. Charles Mukuka
from the United States of America.
I come from Ethiopia.
from Zambia.
I love Kenya very much.
I love the Kenyan people.
Love is not by confession. Love is by action.
Come on now.
When you are a husband, you are not a husband.
It's very important.
You can count the seeds in an apple, but you can never count the number of apples in a seed.
Her phone is a phone. My phone is my phone.
You only know what you know.
Who forced you?
The more you spend time together, the more stronger.
A woman is like a Bible.
To tell me that they were born and it wasn't from a female, I'd like to know.
A woman, she's a good asset. And a woman, she's a very, very good investment.
When you're up, your family knows who you are. But when you're down, you'll figure out who your family is.
Thank you so much.
right. Ni nani? Ni nani? Carry on! Hola! Genius DJ, genius DJ, genius DJ, genius hype man. Wow! It's bigger, it's better, it's live. I'll be your host, Ipola the Experience.
Genius Republic DJ Karian.
Join us for Ekomziki each and every Sunday from 8 a.m.
for the best in gospel music as we host your favorite gospel ministers.
Every Sunday, live on your favorite station, GBS TV. Boom, 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 boom. Karian! Hey!
Hello guys and welcome to
G Radio.
We have different roles. ndio tunataka kuendelea.
Don't think tunafaa kutolewa.
Vijana kuna talents.
Anafaa kuwa futuristic. I think they should be advised.
So we all go and we gain more and more knowledge.
85% attendance.
Shasema.
And they'll make it.
Pia vitu zake zinataka ufanye ndio at least akupeza marks.
G Radio, your best youth TV show. G
Ready, G ready, G ready.
Ini G Radio. Ini G Radio.
There is a card that makes paying for almost everything easy like ABCs. No need to make trips to the ATMs to withdraw money or carry cash around. That's the Equity Bank Visa card, accepted everywhere you see the Visa sign. Use it to pay for food and drinks, fuel, shopping, pay for your Uber ride, shop online, travel and hotel bookings, and so much more. Pay conveniently and free of charge. Card security is guaranteed thanks to the chip and PIN technology that protects your card from fraud. Start paying with your Equity Bank Visa card now and enjoy the convenience of not carrying cash.
Healing, hope, restoration. Amazing stories of real people like you who have triumphed over tragedy. Watch Turning Point International and be inspired to reach your turning point.
It really ministers to the soul of man, and as a pastor, you benefit a lot because people learn and they learn how to cope with issues probably you don't even deal with in your sermons.
It's not reality TV, it's real life TV.
Everywhere, GBS. Welcome back, viewer. This is GBS TV. Sharon.
Yes.
Many problems happen to many people or all people. Everybody lacks money or is chasing after money at some point. And it's not an easy run. A lot of people also go through sickness, disease, work issues, and somehow they gotta deal with it. What happens that somebody fails to handle a small thing as that, or rather not small, but normal and common to men, and resort to committing suicide instead, or taking away their life. Yeah. What happens? It happens to everyone else. Yeah.
Most times you find people are not able to talk about what they are going through. And forgetting that whatever it is that you're going through, for example, if it's lack of money, there are other people who also do not have money, but they're still surviving.
Yeah, they wake up and say, it's okay, I'll get money next time.
Yeah, but not being in a space that you're able to share, because you find that once you share a problem, you realize, oh, so it's not only me. And so that gives you hope that you can do this thing. But if you do not talk about it, you're always by yourself, you will say like this is the end of the world.
I wonder what kind of ability these people lack. Is it some weakness inside of their hearts, or what precisely makes them not to be able to go over it and over another as the other people are going through? Because the people who are going through and overcoming, I don't think it's not always that their problem has been sorted. They just found some strength and they were able to go over it. Yeah. What is it that these people lack?
I would not say it's a sign of weakness, but what I think I would say is they do not want to be vulnerable. Because if you're vulnerable, remember our African culture, you're regarded as weak. Yes. So also the society has also shaped how we handle our problems.
When are people going to rise up from societal issues about what people are going to say and do about their personal decisions that are taking them to a better place than where they are today? Yeah, when are people going to do that?
That is why now we need to be vocal about it and talk about it. Yes.
Well, I think that is too serious. Yes. Anyway, people who have already gotten into this disease, you mentioned something that puzzles me, that people are smartly dressed, walking down the street, doing their normal chores, yet they're mentally ill. You know, they are really suffering. Do they just get home and commit suicide? And for what?
Not like all of them just go home and commit suicide, but some of this, like I say, there are so many people who, for example, have bipolar, but when you're out in the streets, you can't tell. Why? Because they are managing it. One thing that we also need to realize is once you have this disease, it does not mean that is the end of you. There's remedy, and you can actually be able to control it.
Okay.
Yes.
So there are remedies.
There are remedies.
For the children and for all other ages.
All ages.
There are remedies.
Yes.
These remedies, are they permanent?
Yes, they are permanent remedies. Yes.
And what is the problem? What is the difficulty? Are people not willing to take it up? Is it a difficult thing to do? Are the medications too expensive? Are they not available?
The reason why I think people are not really able to talk about it, or rather to go even to the hospital and get the medications, first of all, there's no that acceptance. You know, for you to, first of all, I always say that one step to healing is accepting that this is the situation at hand. That is one step. Once you accept, now you can go further and seek medical attention. If it means you're going to a therapist, go. If it means going to a hospital, go. Yes. So
people who have mental illness, a lot of them are committing suicide. Does it happen also in our country?
Yes.
It does happen.
Yes. Every other day in the news we hear somebody has committed suicide. And it's very sad.
It's a result of mental illness.
Yes. Yes. And it's very sad because it's happening among the young people. Yes. The pressures of life are too many, and they find they are not able to handle the pressures of life.
Young people, you mean who? Because the pressures of life, you know, young people, are they like those who are on their own, like living on their own? They have to provide for their house rent, they have to pay for their school fees by themselves, they have to do all these things by themselves. Is that what you mean? Is that the age group you're talking about?
I'm not talking about the ones who live by themselves, because even there was a time in the news that we had somebody from PwC who had held a very high office, committed suicide. So it's not only those people who live alone or who are single.
This thing is even iconic. It even affects the icons.
Yes, because, you know, sickness does not choose. Yes, what race you are, in which social class are you in. It does
I know
not
PwC is such an high-end office, and I'm just wondering, so like when you talk about such an icon, you talk about the young people, and you're saying the young people are the majority that are committing suicide as a result of mental illness. And I'm wondering, in this country, what is it that we lack that we need to fix? And what precisely is pushing these young people? Because in my opinion, they're receiving a lot of supports from their parents. Yeah. What exactly is pushing them this far?
I don't really, well, let me say it's 50-50 whether they're receiving a lot of support from the parents. Because, for example, let me use the men. You're told to go handle your problems. Once you move out from your parents' home, you can't go back to your parents telling them this and this and this, because of how, again, you've been nurtured. Yeah. So you find if you're not able to go back, if you do not find a safe space to talk about what you're going through, you start having these thoughts, suicidal thoughts. You start being depressed. You start withdrawing from people. Yes.
It rolls back to parenting.
It rolls back to and it's so sad because everything goes back to parenting. Yes.
I don't think all parents made mistakes. Other than lack of the safe space to talk about issues that affect you as a young person. Sometimes you have grown, you have aged, you can actually talk about it, not necessarily with your parents, if you think they did not provide the safe space. But now being outside, exposed to a bigger public, you should be able to find a friend or two and talk about it. Yeah.
That is why we are now being vocal, intentionally being vocal about it, creating awareness and telling people it is okay. It is not a bad thing. It is not abnormal. It is okay. It is life.
You know what has surprised me most is that mental illness is not just being outside there with garbage on the streets, in tattered clothes, but being as smart as you are, Sharon, today, in the house, in the university, yet mentally ill. I mean, that is a big surprise. And how are you countering this? Because if the pressures and issues of life are going to lead you into mental illness, are going to lead you into depression, that you ultimately commit suicide, then something needs to be done. Yes. What is that you are doing?
We have many self-help groups that nowadays people are engaging in, you know. There are many forums that are being carried out that, you know, people can go and attend, and you see that these are pressures of life and it is normal. Yeah.
So those are part of the remedies that you are giving to this.
Yes.
You know, when you have put up a banner or you have put up a center and you have called it, you know, solutions for the mentally ill or whatever you want to call it, I mean, why do I want to branch there? I'm not mentally ill. Yes? I know it is for some people who have been bewitched. I know it is for some people in tattered clothes and do not know what they are doing. They're not even studying. They're not even working. How will I walk into that tent and get solutions?
Now that is the mindset that we need to change. Because mental awareness is not only for people who are ill. It is for you and I and everybody else. Yes. So first of all, we need to shift our mindset and look at things differently. That when you talk mental awareness, when you see a forum about mental awareness, you think, oh, this is now for the sick people.
Exactly, unless you call it a different name.
Yes.
Unless you call it a different name. But when I see something about mentally ill, sincerely, with my pride, I don't want to walk into it because I am not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, that is the pride that, you know, you need to just, you know, let go of your pride. Yes.
And it's just lack of awareness. It
Yes.
could not even be pride.
Yes.
It could be lack of awareness because my expectation of the mentally ill are not people like this. So there is a certain class of people who should walk into that tent. Yeah. What kind of remedy, what other kind of remedy are you giving for this kind of sickness?
Also therapy. Therapy also helps because when you go for therapy, this is a neutral person. This is a person who does not know you. As you know, some people say that you don't want to talk to somebody who knows you because you're afraid of, if you talk to them, they will laugh at you. So when you go to a therapist, this is a neutral person who does not know you. And what they'll do, they will listen to you and they will help you to find the solution to your problems. A therapist does not advise, but they help you come up with a solution. Yes.
By yourself.
By yourself. Because some of these things we need to do them by ourselves.
Does each and everyone with that kind of condition have to end up to a therapist?
Not necessarily, not necessarily ending up to a therapist. But for example, somebody who's gone through loss, they've lost a loved one. You know, there's that stage where you feel you don't want to talk, you don't want to eat, you just want to be by yourself. But again, you can't stay in that space forever. Because if you do, it will end up you being depressed, you know, the high levels of depression. So what do? You can go for therapy. And
yeah, but time also heals. You know, with time, somehow,
yes,
it erases off your mind and you get up and you're back to yourself.
But we are forgetting this is something that cannot live. You'll always remember it. It will always be at the back of your mind.
Oh, really?
Yes. Loss, I don't believe that loss you can just, even after, let's say, a period of 6 months and
No, 6 months is too short.
And you decide it's okay that I can now move on. It's something that will stay with you, and it can take as long as even 10 years. But what happens, is it limiting you from doing the things that you're meant to do, your day-to-day life activities? Now, if you find this is something that has, overshadowed what you're meant to be doing, now you need to go and seek help. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
For the children, I am surprised also about the genetical bit. For the children, once you realize, what do you do for the children? What is the remedy for the children?
For the children, now you need to go to a psychiatrist because it's easy for a child to heal than a grown-up. Yes. Because there are so many factors that contribute to a child being able to heal faster than a grown-up.
But a child is not able to listen, to understand well and reason out like an adult. Yeah, so how do you impose that in them?
There's something that I mentioned in the beginning that for you to be categorized or identify that you have depression, there are tests that are done. For bipolar, same thing. So you cannot be prescribed with something if they have not done the tests. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. There are quite a number of tests that they do. Yes.
So even for the adults,
the
tests have to be run.
Yes.
So you don't just see someone behave in a way that is not usual and conclude that they're mentally ill.
Yes.
And you also don't just see someone like commit suicide and conclude that they were mentally ill. Okay.
Yeah.
So then how would you create that difference for the suicidal, those who were just suicidal and those who committed suicide as a result of mental illness?
I believe the people who commit suicide, they commit suicide because of high levels of stress. And remember that high levels of stress are the ones that lead to depression. Stress can be negative and positive. Yes, it all depends with how you handle stress. Because if you let that stress get into you, affect you cognitively, affect what you're supposed to do, now that can lead to depression. Yes.
So when you get into depression, then you're automatically going towards the mental illness.
Yes.
So someone can just wake up and commit suicide?
Yeah, there are people who just wake up and commit suicide.
Over something that has happened within a very short period of time, without even letting it get into depression. What is the remedy for such kind of people? Because if you just realize, for example, for the young people, maybe somebody wants a birthday party, and as a parent, you could not get to their level of standard. Yes. How do you handle that they're not pleased with what you have offered, and the next morning people awake to a dead body?
First of all, there's a lot of peer pressure. Yeah. That is also something that we need to be aware of. A sense of self-worth is very important. Having a high self-esteem is also very important. When I say no to you, it does not mean that you're bad. It's just that I've said no. Not that because you're bad, but because of the thing that you want is not available at the moment. So those are things that you need to talk to ourselves. And at times we are also encouraged to talk to ourselves. Go to the mirror and talk to yourself. If you're the person who has a low self-esteem, encourage yourself. Because if again we wait on people to encourage us, that will never happen. You will find yes, but not to the level that you want. So even I, as a person, I am supposed to encourage myself, to talk to myself, and to just speak positively. Also, staying away from negative people also helps, because the minute you surround yourself with negative people and negative talk,
There's so much
affects you.
negative energy.
Yes.
Okay, Sharon. Thank you. Thank you. I need you to give us your last words, bearing in mind that there are people who have a lot of myths, you know, and not facts about revolving around mental illness that are not true. Please talk to them as you give us your last words. Yes.
One thing, the thing that I'd like everybody to know is take care of your mind. The mind is a precious thing. Guard it, and everything is going to be okay, because everything starts in the mind. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, viewer, for having stayed with us through this conversation. We were talking about mental illness, and I hope you have gotten it right, that this is not just as a result of witchcraft. It's not just an African taboo. This is something that is happening. This is something that is real. And a lot of people, like never before, are affected with this disease. Please watch out for your loved ones. Look at this again. Watch it also on our YouTube channel. Thank you. My name is Betty Akuku. I have been your host. See you next time.